Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 166. Iliya here, and as always I'm really grateful to have you on the channel. Hopefully you had an amazing week, amazing trades, and an amazing start of the month. You know what we're gonna do in this video. We keep carrying on. It's the second week right now of October. The market is just starting to wake up. A new quarterly candle has opened, a new monthly candle has opened. NFP is over, and right now it's really the best time to start striking. So we're gonna have a look at how this week developed, what kind of setups we had, opportunities, how the market developed overall, and most importantly, we're gonna try to forecast what could happen in the upcoming week. In the weekly outlook and setups, I'm mainly throwing a top-down analysis, more starting from weekly, daily, and 4-hourly. Sometimes we might drop on the 15-minute, but on the flow with the markets Tuesday, I always go towards the intraday trades, like mainly focusing on the 15-minute. And in this way, I show you how I operate on a daily basis. So hopefully you have been gathering value so far. And if you are new to this channel, it is all about trading. I plan to share more in investing soon and wealth creation, so make sure you are subscribed and turn on the notification bell in order not to miss when those future videos come out. And if you already did, well, we have a lot to speak about today, so let's get into it. As always, we are gonna get started with the DXY, the US dollar currency index. But before we do that, I want to shout out my amazing broker, Forex.com. They're great. They have all the assets, all the currencies, stocks, indices, crypto, everything with amazing spreads. And they also have an eco account that they offer. You're gonna pay a little bit of commission, but every single lot size that you accumulate will go towards planting 10 trees. Go check out their website. They're following up on their tree planting journey. They have a link right there. So go in the description, check them out, and make sure to open your eco account and support the first green broker out there. So let's get into it. Well, the DXY this week, we had a very nice continuation overall. So what we had this week is a little bit of a higher time frame continuation, when, for example, the weekly and the daily were bullish, as we called them actually last week. But the 4-hourly was a little bit bearish, right? So again, if you're an intraday trader, you focus on the 4H, right? So which was, for example, on the DXY's case, bearish, right? But then you can see that the weekly and the daily are always gonna prevail and take over. So a really good tip, a really good thing to always keep into your mind is that the hard time frames are always gonna prevail, right? So what we had pretty much from last week on the DXY is we had this little weekly demand right there. Well, it's not pretty little, it's pretty big on the weekly, right? So I don't go on the left right now because, yeah, pretty much we know that we're tapping into this very big range on the left. But again, you know that I don't do this too much. Like, this is a zone from 2001. So I'm not sure how much relevancy it holds right now. So what I really love doing is actually zooming in to see what is happening. So as you can see, the weekly pullback it looks like it has been completed, and we have a really nice wick right there. And what I tell you about wicks, well, they tend to get filled at least like to 25%. So what we can do is we can take a little gun box right this, right? So pretty much this is a potential zone that we can expect a pullback towards, right? So then transferring on to the daily, we actually see that the daily time frame did not respond from that zone, which is a zone that I had at first, right? You see, we reacted for one day, the next day kind of engulfed, and then the next day already broke below it, right? But if you recall from the last outlook, then the next level that we had to tap was this one, right? So we tapped in this one, we had a very nice bearish engulfing into it, followed by a very nice bullish engulf, and then for 2 days, we carried on to the upside, actually breaking below this bullish candle that looked like it created a lower high on the 4H, right? So pretty much daily right now is turning bullish. Well, what I can say is that if the fundamentals actually go as planned, right, if the dollar is going to continue to be strong, if the stock market keeps falling, right, so people are saving cash right now, this is why the dollar is appreciating as well, then potentially we can start attacking finally 115. Okay, so that will be a long-term projection. And dropping onto the 4H, this is a thing that I really want to cover and to point out this week is that, yes, so you can see if you're focusing only on the 4H was completely bearish right there, but in fact it exactly shifted on time. So if I delete this is pretty much that weekly wick. So we can expect a pullback anywhere towards this kind of zone right there, which is pretty much another 4-hourly sell to buy right there, which forms a nice base. So if I delete this, how we started. Where did we open actually? September. Yeah, we opened right here, right? So the market was already bearish, and we can see we reacted, it was a bit choppy, broke down, pulled back, and massively flushed. Where to? Towards this zone, okay? And so as we tap this zone, we are still bearish. So what I had at this moment is this supply zone, right? So I was looking for shorts right there for potential continuation. But what happens? The market taps, takes the liquidity, then taps again, rejects massively, right? But you can see that it actually fails to go lower. And then it shifts and it actually flips, right? So we from here, we are actually technically bullish on the foliage, right? And then of course you can see you might continue looking for shorts, right? But it's invalid. Right now, the weekly is bullish, the daily is bullish, and also the 4-hourly time frame is bullish. So you have all the alignments that you need in order to go long. Okay. So yeah, currently we had this little pullback range right there, bullish push, bearish wick, right? So it's a little bit sloppy, especially this sort of price action right there. So I'm gonna take a little zone like this. It's not entirely valid. Like we can try. Yeah, 5 hour, maybe on this, yeah, maybe this one looks good. Something like this, we can refine it a little bit because we have that engulfing candle right there before this little range. So this is a potential demand zone that we can use. But what I also see is that we have, I'm just trying to find a nice time frame due to that wick right there, but I can't seem to find it because this right here is also another potential demand zone that we can tap inside, okay? And remember, 50 to 25% of that weekly wick are somewhere right here, okay? So my question for the DXY is right now, where are we gonna retest? Okay, so as you can see right here, we created a little range, we expanded, and we closed bullish. So potentially we can look for a long trade from here, of course, with a 15-minute confirmation. If this one fails, then the 4-hour is gonna turn bearish, because this one to me is not the most valid higher low, but it's still a higher low, right? It still gave a pullback, it stayed within the range for a couple of hours. So if this one breaks, we can have a short-term short into this zone, and this is from where we might actually decide to expand, because then the market is going to come into retest like a deeper zone, which is into the 50%. Okay, so we can have that short-term short. But yeah, this is pretty much how I look into it right now. I'm not going to go to the 15-minute time frame. We can just visit it to say that this is that demand that we have. If the market comes in right there and starts to shift nicely on the 50-minute, then I will be interested for longs, right? But if it just comes in and starts to range and then continues to drop, no way I'm taking it. Okay, so that is the Dixie. Overall, still the sentiment of the dollar is bullish, right? Right now we are aligning on the weekly, on the daily, on the 4-hourly time frame. So to me, longs are the highest probability, but in the current market conditions, we just never know what's gonna happen. So once again, I keep mentioning this. It's very important that you flow with the market. Don't marry your setups. Don't say, oh, Dixie is bullish, it's gonna go to the sky, it should go to the sky. No, it can do whatever it wants, right? So the biggest skill is to actually flow with the markets, and we're gonna do this on Tuesday. All right, let's have a look at Euro USD. Before we do that, I want to invite you to an amazing webinar that we're gonna be hosting with a partner of mine, CEO of Crypto Street Academy. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description. Make sure to go and register because we're gonna be covering something that you don't wanna miss. An opportunity for passive income, for wealth creation through DeFi. So it's an amazing tool that they have been working out. They reached out, they actually showed me what happens inside, how it works, and also the owner is a Fanatic student of mine. So I'm very excited for this partnership. So make sure to visit the description and go and register. You're gonna find the link there, and you're not gonna regret it. Okay, so Euro USD, I am having a 0.16% loss this week. A little bit of a tricky week, so I'm going to show you the trades I took. Hopefully you can learn something from them. Not the best, and currently I am extremely busy with stupid stuff, so I can't really manage to find the time to really focus, to really actually get into the zone, to trade both sessions if I wish to. I kind of have a little bit of time in the morning. If I take something good, then I just have to go. So it's not the best time for me to trade. This is why I'm kind of reducing my risk a little bit, and of course adapting to my current personal circumstances. So Euro USD, very nice higher time frame delivery as we forecasted last week, right? So we have this beautiful weekly supply zone. The market tapped inside and it's already massively rejecting. Like, this is a big rejection, right? the market started super bullish. It came all the way up, right? So we opened right there and we pushed like 200 pips, right? And then we rejected all the way down, right? We rejected around 300 pips then to the downside. So that is a very big rejection. But of course, if everything goes as planned, we can expect for the market to attack the low, right? So then, of course, we'd like to drop to the daily time frame. So what I had this week is this little zone right there, which was a little bit, yeah, it was not the best. It was a very nice base candle, a very nice supply zone, right? And as you can see, we kind of tapped inside, we rejected, and on the next day, we also rejected, but then we massively expanded and actually went towards that major weekly zone, okay? So as you can see, if you have a daily zone, but you have a weekly zone above, remember what I told you on the DXY, the higher time frame is always gonna prevail, right? So we pulled back towards that weekly zone, which also has that little daily zone within it, right? And then from there, we actually ended up plunging to the downside. And currently, like we had this little base right there that was supposed to be demand, it is currently invalidated. So we are definitely turning bearish on EURUSD. So the trick on EURUSD, unlike the Dixie, is that this one was bullish until Friday, right? So what we have is the market shifted structure right there, push, pullback, higher low, higher high, higher low. There were a couple of bullish setups right there on Tuesday, but to me, they just didn't tick my rules, right? We were just having little pullbacks on the 50-minute. There were no zones for me to trade off of, right? And then we just came in and tapped into that zone. We also took that little liquidity zone by like a couple of pipettes, like this is 98 and this one is 95. So 3 pipettes. We took out this high right there, and then you can see since then we have been massively flushing. There was also a nice setup right there to short, right, if you are a little bit aggressive. But then to me, I looked for the short, there wasn't any entry, but then I was like, well, this is my hourly range, right? So first we responded from this little zone right there. It failed to hold, it just gave us a pullback, and then I was like, okay, maybe we're pulling back towards the deeper zone. Because to me, I always listen to my rules, and my rules said that, well, this is currently my 4-hourly range. Right, and anything in between is complex correction. But again, the thing that I ignored is that we were coming from a weekly zone. So if I have a weekly zone like this, I can just start shorting, right? And then of course be aware that we're tapping into demand zones right there, so the market can give me a pullback, but that does not mean that we're gonna go for a new higher high. So that is a little mistake that I did this week, right? Always learning, a very good reminder that higher timeframes are always going to prevail. And this is why I usually do like at least once per week, like weekly and daily analysis to know where we are, right? So very important to do so. Right now, if I just have a look at the recent price action, so pretty much to me, the reversal happened right here. So this is my 4-hourly shift to the downside, right? Then if we ask ourselves, okay, what actually caused the shift? Well, we have that bullish candle right there that is already being retested and we already flush away from it. Okay, then of course we have this guy. This is a very little candle, so I'm just gonna take 2 candles in order to make this zone bigger. This is probably like on the 8-hour. Yeah, there we go. So a 8-hourly candle that is engulfed, beautiful, looks really good. So I'm gonna keep it right there. And then of course we have this guy right there, but I'm really not gonna trade from this guy because that's gonna take a lot of effort to push all the way up. So currently, as I said, we are right now bearish on your USD, and we have, like, you can find those demand zones on the left that can potentially give you that pullback. Okay, so we can have this tap, pullback, and then to finally break the low. Okay, so this is pretty much my expectation. Again, right now it's a little bit tricky because we're already creating this demand zone. That's our supply. We broke, we retested, and we tried to push lower. So what could happen right now is if I just go on the 50-minute is, because we're trading within this range, if the market actually first thing on Monday, it fails to break below this guy, right there, then this is going to become liquidity. So if we have this setup, only then I'm going to be shorting. Okay, so this is just the intraday setup, how I'm going to be looking if this was Monday already playing out. But if first thing in the morning we break below, then this setup kind of becomes invalid, right? So again, it's very important for EU right now to allow it a little bit. Like this is just after NFP. So give it some time. Allow it. So if it breaks, then of course I'm still going to be looking for a pullback, right? But then I'm going to need like a nice new 50-minute shift. But if first thing in the morning we push into this zone and we take out this high, then I can be even more aggressive and start looking for the shorts as well, right? And I'm looking to see EURUSD tapping inside this demand zone, which hasn't been retested at all, right? So this is potentially my kind of a long-term expectation. Okay, this is, I can forecast like a 60 pip move because I do think we might go for this level. So hopefully we might get a couple of short opportunities towards this zone. Okay, so very simply, this is my outlook. I have two scenarios right now. I do not see any longs simply because the flower just turned bearish. So I would like to start following this. Okay. So I would just very quickly want to show you my trades. I didn't do a Thursday video because I didn't think it's worth it. I usually do it when something really nice happens. So this is my I took this one with full risk, right? So what we have is the market was overall bullish. I observed the Asian range. It was very trending. The market pulled back, actually broke below the Asian range. But then what actually broke the Asian range? It was this lower high. We had this massive expansion into the highs, which was tapping into supply zone, but I just wanted to go with the trend. Why? Well, because we already pulled back, we already pulled back towards 50% of the flower zone. There is 50%, so I was expecting the high to be taken. And yes, at the end, it got taken and much more, but it had to first pull back to grab some liquidity, and the setup was provided in New York when I did not manage to trade. So what it is, I look for this break of structure, we pulled back towards the zone, and this setup actually worked out. My community members actually smashed the TP on this one, but my entry positioning was a little bit bad. So we pulled back towards the zone, we took structural liquidity, and yeah, then I was waiting right there for a liquidity grab. So here we had a little bit of a fake shift. The market took the liquidity, then it broke structure. So then I was like, okay, what caused the break of structure? I took this wick. On MT4, this was also a very nice bearish candle. I don't know why. So I took it from right there, and I kept a tight stop loss below right there, because if I place it right here, this gets a bit bigger, and then the risk to reward is not worth it. So yeah, this was a pretty nasty trade, stopped me out. Then it actually created another structure shift, but then it didn't give me a retest. So yeah, then I did not trade this sort of continuation. So that was my full loss for this week. So what could have been done better is to do something like this, which is what my community members did, right? So wait for the market to come in deeper and make sure to have your stop loss below the major low. But what I was looking at is that we had structure right there. So we had a push, pull back, push, pull back, pull back, and then push, right? So to me, this was the last lower high. And after this I1 actually broke, you can see that the major low was also broken right there. So pretty much this low was not strong and it became liquidity. But yeah, this is my loss on Monday. And then, yeah, I just had time for this trade and I went on with my day. Wednesday was very stupid. Why? Well, because this is a mistake that I do very often. So here we were actually tapping inside this very big supply zone, right? But there was a very quick open short trade, right? Just on the open. The 15-minute actually shifted bearish. So the bias was absolutely bearish, right? But again, the delivery was a little bit tough, right? So what I spotted is because I really focus on the 15-minute recent structure, we had like a lower low. The market tried to respond from supply, failed, and it flipped up. So then we pull back towards the demand zone, and I was just looking for a quick shift because I also had this supply right there where I wanted to short. But then this supply broke, and I was like, okay, we were long then, but then the market just plummeted to the downside. So this is the trade that I took. I should have hit the replay. Let me zoom in. So same setup, exact same setup as the one on Monday. I'm very systematic. We have complete rules in my system and within the Fanatics as well. We come in towards the zone and we observe the structure shift. So we broke the low, broke the high, right? So we pull back. So we took the trade from here. Stop loss this time I positioned well. I learned my lesson on Monday, so I positioned well. So I was saved on this one. And there were much better entries afterwards as well. You could have taken it from here. You had 3 entry opportunities right there. And I was very quick to just take my profits at the 15-minute high. But guess what? I took this trade with risk that I'm not supposed to, right? So I do this mistake very often. And usually when I do this, it's a win. It's one of the biggest trades as well. So I'm definitely becoming mindful of this little mistake. Do you also have this, guys, right? So sometimes the trade does not look the best. Maybe it's against the trend and you're not really sure, but you still want to take it. So what you end up doing is you take it with low risk and then it wins, but it just covers like your previous loss that was with full risk instead of actually bringing you on profit, right? So this is a mistake I do very often. Again, I'm not perfect. I'm far away from being the trader I want to be, but it's those little things that you actually polish that make you a better trader. So on Friday, I took a loss, but this was half risk. So this one, the first one was 0.25, this one was 0.10, and this one was also 0. Yeah, something. It was a lower risk than usual, right now because I trade on my live account right now. And I use very low risk because I'm just not in the zone. So I just want to keep it going. So what we had right here is again 4 hourly demand on the left. On the left, we have the market making bearish structure. Here we shifted the structure for a first time. Then we actually confirmed. This is the push to me, very trending Asian range, and I've seen this setup work a lot. The market pulls back into the Asian range, and then it gives you a long. Okay, so I saw it pull back, tap very early. Then it gave me the reaction, right? And then I was like, okay, we could continue going higher, right? But then the market just smashed. Right? So the setup honestly was not the best, right? But I have seen this setup work a lot, right? So same setup, guys, look at that. So we tap into the zone, we take the liquidity, we create the 1 minute shift. But this time, the thing that I didn't love is this sort of price action right there. But to me then, this became liquidity, right? I've seen this happen a lot, right? You get the shift, then the market carries on, then comes for a very aggressive retest, and then it massively expands. I have seen this setup, especially in Frankfurt London Open, happen a lot. Which is why I took it, but with low risk, because again, it was not the best, right? So we tap inside, I looked for this zone. I didn't take it from here because I was looking for at least one candle confirmation, just to ensure that I don't get smashed. But then it tapped into the extreme zone. It gave me this bullish candle, and I have to enter somewhere around here. Stop loss 3 pips below, stopped me out, pushed up a little bit, but this is not a valid reversal for me because I have rules for my 1 minute ranges as well, and then it keeps on carrying lower, and then I had went outside of home. So yeah, pretty much that's my development on EU this week, and the result is 0.16% loss, which is good for the first week. We have 3 more weeks and even 4 ahead of us, so let's buckle up and keep striking. Hopefully I will be able to produce a Thursday review in order not to make this video long, but again guys, bear with me. I'm going to be posting more soon. Let's have a look at Euro Yen. So the Yen pairs are a little bit tricky right now. USD JPY is keeping stuck in that consolidation, and the major currencies are right now starting to reverse. Like we saw Euro USD massively flushing, which might potentially bring Euro JPY down as well, although it was kind of building up a little bit bullish bias from the weekly. So again, we have this demand. The market massively rejected from it, responded from it. And right now we're having kind of a bearish rejection candle. It's very nice, but again, right now we are stuck in the middle. So push, pull back, the market pushed, it failed to break the high. So what is gonna happen right there? Okay, so that is the biggest question. Dropping onto the daily, well, yeah, well, we have a very big kind of a V shape right there. So the market tapped and responded massively. We actually went on and violated this little daily zone right there. So supply did not actually hold. Not very clear in the daily. Well, I would say, yeah, massive bearish, massive bullish, overall a rejection right there. But we saw from the weekly that it's rather bullish. And yeah, so right now what we can do is if we consider, okay, so this one is a very nice bullish daily range. We can take that daily range and expect the market to potentially pull us back below the 50%. And the first zone that I see is right there. Okay, so you can go on the 4H as well. On the 4H, we have another one potentially right there. But what we're seeing right now is similar to Euro USD. We're having a potential 4 hourly shift right now. So this is the higher low, this is the higher high. The market then created this kind of complex correction right there and broke below this low. Okay, what caused the break of the low? Well, we have this overall kind of range right there. The market is already throwing wicks inside. So I would expect something similar to Euro USD, right? We can have a little pullback, a short taking us below 50% and then starting to tap into one of those big zones. And then from there, we have to just flow and see what is going to happen. Is the market going to hold from here and start shifting? Is it going to just completely break it? I don't know, right? I don't know. So at this moment, I do believe, so weekly is bullish, daily is also bullish right now with this big range. The 4 hourly is starting to shift a little bit against. So what we need to see is like the 4 hourly to also align eventually with the weekly and the daily so we can take a high probability trade. But this also depends on the USD JPY, right, which is still chopping around, a little bit indecisive. So trading JPYs right now is a little bit tough. So this is my outlook for now. Very simple. Again, you can drop to like a 15-minute. You see you had the break, you had the retest already, and the market is currently kind of in the middle. So if we return back to the zone and we create another nice 15-minute shift, then I will be interested to short then, only then. But if it continues to break below, then I'm just going to keep following the 15-minute bearish until I'm wrong. or until we start tapping into those demands where I'm gonna start looking for more signs. Okay, so that's Euro yen. Let's have a look at the others. All right, let's have a look at the Aussies. Aussie dollar continues its bearish trend. So we had a very nice response to the upside, creating this very lovely wick right there. But then you can see we went all the way down and actually closed as a new lower low on the weekly. So we continue flushing, nothing much to explore on the weekly. Daily, you can see, yeah, that it would kind of created this little range right there. So we had this one day on Monday that we pushed up. And then you can see, yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday are rather tricky. Then Thursday actually made a push lower, and Friday made the continuation, actually making this daily lower low. Okay, and a weekly lower low as well. So not the best. Like if you jump actually on the voyage, it was rather confusing to trade within the right there, right? Like it was building that little bit of a bullish bias. So since here we had this demand zone, the market tapped and actually went on for a new higher high. Then as it broke that higher high, you have a new zone, it tapped inside and still gave you a reaction, right? But then you can see at the end, it actually ended up breaking to the downside. So we have a very similar occasion to Euro USD right now in the other pairs. Like we have, on this occasion, this very extreme supply. And what is in the middle is we have this kind of pullback, break, pullback again and break. Very hard to draw a zone right there. So we could do something like this. And to potentially see like on the 50-minute how it's gonna look like. So exactly the same thoughts that I have on Euro USD, for example. It's making a lovely lower low. It's breaking a very major low though. So we can have like a bigger reaction, maybe to pull us back a little bit higher right there. But first thing on Monday, how I'm looking at this market is for a pullback towards this zone right there. And then of course my 50-minute setup to occur. And then I'm gonna be dropping to a lower time frame to look for shorts, okay? So very simply, I'm short biased on the Aussie dollar. Everything is supporting shorts. So I go short until I'm wrong, right? Of course, again, keep in mind we're breaking below a massive daily zone, right there, massive daily level. So we can have like a bigger reaction. But then, of course, keep considering then the daily leg, right? Because then your daily leg is going to look something like this, which means if the market pulls back above 50% right there, you should start looking for the market to align bearish and continue with that bearish daily and weekly trend. Okay, so that's the Aussie. We'll be looking to short from this zone. And yeah, JPY, pretty much the same, just a little bit sloppier, right? You can see that we have that same wick to the upside and rejected all the way and closed as a doji. This is one type of doji, kind of. But we still have like this weekly demand. So how much it's going to hold, I don't know. Right, on the daily, we can make it a little bit smaller on the daily. But yeah, you can pretty much see that right now it's just stuff, like it's just ranging, dropping onto the 4H. Same story, like we had this demand right there, then we had this demand right there, right? The market held from both, pushed it, then it failed. So technically right now, we're breaking below this guy just right now. But look at the price, right? It's not the best. Now, even this one, I wouldn't even look to short from here. Like on the USD pairs, it looks a little bit cleaner, but on the JPY, it's just not great. All right. And of course, we have this. You can take, of course, your range like that and wait for a bigger pullback, like towards this big zone. You can take like a bigger zone, let's say, like on the 8 hourly, something like this. Have a bigger zone because, again, this whole leg is the buy, and then this is what's sold off, right? So you can sell anywhere within this zone, right? As long as it's above the 50%, right there. So this is how I look into the Aussies. Like Aussie dollar looks a bit better for shorts, but this one can also go with it. If you pull back towards this zone, I'm going to be observing. If you fail, then I would like to see a tap towards this zone right there, and then potentially see a continuation of that daily and weekly downtrend, right? So that's the Aussies. Let's have a look at the NZDs, which are pretty much the same. Funny weekly candle on the NZD. So we're having, again, similar stuff to the Aussie. We have a nice push into the highs and then a rejection all the way down. Right, so we move 200 pips up and then we move 200 pips down. So a very big weekly range, I would say. And yeah, well, funny candle, as I said, nothing much I can extract. There is a lot of bearish rejection. This is what I can say. Dropping onto the daily, well, at first you can see we had a very big Monday bullish, Tuesday and Wednesday kind of throwing big wicks. Thursday rejecting very nicely, engulfing this candle as well. And then Friday going for a continuation. So yeah, eventually we can expect a break of the low. Right, So important is to see whether the quality right now has aligned. Well, yes, it is, right? Although we had these huge wicks, the market took the high right there, right? And then technically, yeah, this one is the break. So there is our quality break. So the quality is aligned bearish. And yeah, the trick thing right now about this one is that it's making those little ranges right here. I see also within this wick potentially something like this. So it's not the best, right? It's not the best right now. But similar to what I said on EU, on AU as well, if I have a pullback towards the zone, and then if the 50 minutes starts to align with the trend overall, then I'm gonna be interested to sell. Okay, and if those fails, then of course you have potentially an 8-hourly zone right there, which you can of course take. That's gonna be a higher probability because this is actually the zone that caused the reversal. Okay, so two shorting opportunities. Again, one is gonna be from here. You look for a 50-minute shift right there, and from here you also look for that. But it's very sloppy. It's not clean zone, and also if you don't have a clean zone, you also don't trade, right? You also need rules for your zones. So that's my outlook. I'm overall bearish. I would expect the market to take out the low, but the question is how, right? And of course the market can just open and take it. That's going to be the worst case, because then we're going to have to wait a lot for a new structure to form, right? NJ, same story. Massive push into the highs, massive rejection. On the daily, we have that bullish pullback. We pull back all the way up, right? We nicely filled in some empty space right there, which is good. So we can actually start to free fall right now. Same story. We break the high and then we break the low. So the market is technically going bearish. We have an 8-hourly supply right there. Let's just check it out. Yep. 2 4-hourly candles right there form an 8-hourly zone. An 8-hourly candle, right? And yeah, we have that same story right there, right? The market kind of stopped for a bit and then it broke structure. So this is a valid supply zone. So if you pull back towards this one, I'm going to be interested to sell. If this one doesn't work out, I'm also going to be looking to sell from here. Okay, so very simply, that's the NZDs. They look pretty much the same as the Aussies as well. Let's see how Monday opens and keep flowing with the market. Let's have a look at USD-Yen, which is mainly driving all the other JPYs. So we're having an overall bullish week. You can see that this guy does not want to reverse, and I have been telling you this, guys, for a while. Do not short this pair until you really see a downtrend, right? So yes, we're still in this big weekly leg. The market definitely does need a pullback, but again, the market is not supposed to give you a pullback. So there was that big wick right there that was formed, and we pretty much have this supply right now that we're tapping inside. So this is not entirely valid, this candle. Why? Well, because first it made a high and then it immediately made a lower low. So it's kind of just a manipulation of the range, right? So imagine that this is a range, right? The market took the high, took the low, and then it's back into the range. So this is what we currently have. Quality time frame looked a bit cleaner because we first saw the break of the high and then a break of the low, which technically made a break of structure lower. And then we were in this kind of complex correction. But yeah, then you can see it starts to form another range, and it actually gave a short, right? Let's be honest, it took the high right there, then it took the low with this wick, then it actually confirmed the break. And yes, you could have been shorting from here, right? And as you can see, the market gave you a response, but shifted again. So then again, this is a forward bullish shift, right? And then there is your forward demand that is just tapping in. Oops. Demand, and right now you have another break and you have a brand new demand as well. So there is a very quick break of structure on USDN. So yeah, we're bullish right now. So you have no reason to short it right now. Yes, you got a short reasoning right there. The market responded, but then it failed, flipped bullish. So you should be taking longs from here. So again, first thing on Monday, I'm going to be looking for a pullback towards this forward zone and a continuation higher, right? This is just how structure looks like. And yeah, until we really see like a nice break and then a nice continuation and that flow to start turning bearish, I am not shorting. Okay, so very simply, USD-JPY is bullish, which might cause a little bit of difficulty for the JPY pairs to actually push down, because we saw like EJ, AJ, NJ, they are kind of bearish, similar to like EU, AU, and NU, right? But if USD-JPY goes higher, then the JPYs are gonna struggle. Okay, so let's see how this one goes. But if you're trading USD-JPY alone, then I would say longs, right? The quality structure is bullish, so longs I think are high probability right now. The only thing is that we are again tapping inside this big supply zone, and we can right now just refine it to the wick, right? And you can see, yeah, we're still in this supply zone and we're taking out this high potential liquidity. So yeah, make sure to follow the flow, and as long as the quality is bullish, you do not have a reason to short. Let's have a look at the GBPs. So GU, nice delivery actually. So we're pulling back all the way up towards this nice weekly supply zone. Let me see, I drew 2. And we're nicely rejecting from it, right? So we have a nice push into the highs and a very nice rejection. So we have a big wick right now, and we know that wicks tend to get filled around 25 to 50%. So we can expect like that little, potentially that little pullback and then a continuation. That will be like the best setup that we can have. So let's see how the daily and 4 hourly look like. Yeah, daily, just massive response right there. It pulls back into the zone and it starts kind of rejecting to the downside, right? Doesn't tell me a lot, right? Just a massive dump and very massive pump as well. And right now it's just kind of pulling back, right? So a lot of things can happen from here. We can reverse higher, we can continue lower, we can continue ranging. So I really don't like when the market is in the middle like this, just around the 50%, because it can just continue to kind of range around, right? So let's see actually the major time frame, the 4 hourly. It came in, took liquidity above these highs right here, and let's see. Well, yeah, it looks like it also shifted right here, pulled back, confirmed the shift, right? But technically there is still a lot of demand right there, but which we can see it actually tapped, it responded, and then it broke below. So we can say that this is also a failure of demand, which we see that we're just starting to build that bearish flow, right? So right now with the last kind of break occurred here, which is exactly the same what we have like with EU, right? Then of course we have another one right there, so which is another potential shorting area. So yeah, there is my outlook on GU. You probably know what I'm gonna say. I want to pull back here and a potential short. If this fails, then I want to pull back here and a potential short. Okay, why? Well, mainly because we're tapping into a very big weekly zone. We're taking liquidity. The daily is also starting to shift, and the 4 hourly is also starting to shift bearish. So again, going with the hard time frames is always the best. And yeah, if the Dixie actually starts to also start making that bullish flow, then potentially GU, EU, AU, they're gonna continue dropping. Okay. So let's see, 50-minute also doesn't look bad. Like NFPUC, massive drop, continues lower. So if you pull back towards this zone, I will be interested to sell. So let's see how Monday plays out. And if we actually break above the structure, things might change a little bit because we might become a bit bullish. But yeah, this is another story. We're going to flow with that on Tuesday. So let's see how Monday opens and how it's going to develop. GJ, yeah, the JPYs are very tricky, like massive down, massive up. Right now it's rejecting. So sure, right, this is kind of a valid supply. It's rejecting from there. Similar to GU, massive dump, massive pump, and right now starting to respond. So I say we just flow with the 4H, but of course always make sure to be aware of the hard time frames, which are bearish, right? And right now the 4 hourly, yeah, pretty much all of this is part of one push. This is the zone that actually caused the push. And we can see that technically GJ is still bullish. GJ is still bullish to me because this is the range. And all of this is complex pullback, so we can actually go ahead for this, okay? So don't try to short this one too hard. It's actually not valid at the moment. It's going to be valid if we break below and then if we pull back. So this is a setup that I'm going to be looking for. This is invalid to draw. Why? Well, because this hasn't caused the break of the major structure, right? And the 4 hourly is technically not bearish. But again, if we break actually below this low, which I perceive to be the higher low. Why? Well, because we pushed, we pull back, then we try to push, we pull back, and then we break, right? So this is actually the low that caused the break, right? So this to me, if this gets invalidated, that I turn bearish. So if it gets invalidated, then I'm going to be dropping a supply zone, and then I'm going to be looking for the pullback, okay? So let's see how it works. It's not a very high probability setup here on GJ. GU looks a bit better. Like you can see that GU is breaking below this zone, which to me is making a lower low. So, and then this makes the level valid. And maybe if GU goes, GJ will follow. But again, guys, remember USD JPY is bullish right now. So if you're trading a yen pair, then be careful because it might give you some difficulty to actually pick a direction. Okay, so those are the GBPs, not entirely clear. I do think like a lot of pairs are going to need some time this week, but of course we know how to flow. And yeah, let's see what happens on Tuesday. Interesting situation for GOAT right now. After pulling back towards 50% of this very big quarterly and monthly leg, we rejected very nicely, and right now we're encountering weekly supply. This is the last weekly supply that we have right there. Of course, we have more on the top, right? But right now, looking at the Dixie, if the dollar actually starts to appreciate, then gold is gonna have a hard time and might actually end up reversing lower. right? So we pulled back all the way towards the last daily zone as well. We're currently rejecting from it, but look what is happening from the downside as well. Actually, the daily here, if you carefully look at structure, the daily shifted to bullish after breaking this high, okay? And if you also drop like a daily range right there, there is 50%, and the first zone below 50% is this, which is not entirely clean, right? You can even also take this candle right there. You can take a big range like this if you want to be secure. This is how I'm gonna take it, right? And yeah, if I drop to the 4H, well, tapped inside, starting to correctively move away from it, right? So what I'm gonna be looking for gold on a higher time frame, like a top down long-term analysis, is for us to pull back towards 50%, tap inside this zone, and then see what's gonna happen, okay? I don't say we're gonna continue making the highs, right? Because if the Dixie starts to massively pump up, gold is not gonna go up as well. It's gonna potentially go down. But yeah, this is the zone right there. Can I delete this? No, I'm gonna keep it right. I'm just gonna wanna make it smaller. Just gonna do like this, right? So to know that there is still a zone. So this is currently how I look at gold, right? We have the zone right there, which responded from this supply on the left. It flipped to bullish. So if you pull back towards the zone, I will be interested for longs, right? And then of course, I'm gonna need the 4 hourly to confirm, the 50-minute to confirm as well. Because yeah, right now, this is not a valid 4 hourly range. Like, so we cannot say that the 4 hourly is turning bearish just from this guy, but this one was demand. The market tapped, created MSS right there. So we can technically say that the bears are right now in control, but let's see how they come up towards this zone, how it responds. And then if we can, for example, have a nice push to the upside. So let's see, stay patient on gold, and make sure if you're trading gold to also monitor the dollar, because the dollar, the strength of the dollar is very important, because pretty much gold is competing against the dollar. So let's see, let me know what you also guys think. I'm expecting 1660-ish around this zone, and then to potentially see a bullish reaction. Interesting situation on the indices right now. So we had a little bit of a bullish sentiment. We had a little bit of a risk on early this week, but then we can see that the dollar actually took over from that daily zone, and we see the rejection happening already. So still, I am bearish on the indices. I do expect another pump to the downside. 28 all the way towards 26 is my next demand zone that I would actually expect a bigger reaction from. And right now, there are a lot of individual stocks that are heavily on discount, right? So dropping onto the daily, there was that little kind of a bullish shift right there, but we see this happen a lot, right? There are some bullish shifts here and there, like this is also a major bullish shift up, and then you think, I'm gonna long from here, and it just gets smacked, right? Exactly the same situation right there. We have like this bullish shift, but then you say, okay, demand, and then you might get smacked, okay? So yeah, we have a little bit of more space towards the upside to pull back towards the weekly zone, but the market is not supposed to do that. Okay, because what we see happens on the 4H right now, we pulled back towards like nowhere important, but what we're doing right now is we're shifting the 4 hourly structure. So we broke the high right there, we broke the low, and technically right now we are trading bearish. The last supply is right there, so we can expect a reaction from here. Like this is a very big zone, a very big sell, and then a very big buy, so we can potentially expect a reaction to pull us back into supply. And then from here, I'm going to be interested if supply is also going to hold. It's a very delicate situation right now, like with the stock market, with indices and everything, because yeah, constantly having new news. There is a little bit of a risk on perspective. Like also, I heard a lot of the new credit crisis, especially with credits, what was it? Credit Suisse. Yeah, and Deutsche Bank as well. They're having some problems with the swaps as well, which is something what happened in 2008, right? So we can expect more downside. A lot of people say that there's a massacre incoming, so a lot of pessimism. So I do expect the market to continue carrying on to the downside, just in terms of fundamentals. So yeah, I'm gonna be keeping shorting US 30. Nasdaq as well, like we had that little pullback, but it rejected all the way down. So the tech index is much weaker. And yeah, same story right there. Took the high, and right now we're shifting bearish on the 4H. And yeah, well, there is a supply zone right here. It's not entirely clean. Maybe we can see it like on a higher time frame, like on an 8 hourly one. We have also one right here, which is kind of very big. So yeah, well, I am bearish on Nasdaq. I don't trade Nasdaq, by the way. I'm just looking at it. I don't like this index. It's way too fast for me. I like US 30 more. S&P is my favorite, but S&P, I found that this one is a bit hard to trade. I might give it a go. But yeah, what I expect right now is a potential pullback and a continuation lower. And of course, first thing we can do is we can break, but then it's still valid. Then after the break, we can still continue shorting. So yeah, tech index, I keep shorting it. And this one is trading like it's just tapping into demand zones on the left. There is no projection that I have on NASDAQ, which is why I don't trade it as well. I don't understand it as well. And the S&P, we had that very nice little rebound, and right now the market is pulling back. So I'm buying individual stocks right now. Why? Well, because I'm looking for lower prices, especially on the S&P. Like 35 is somewhere where I really want to see, which is also perfectly resonating with the 50% of a very major leg, right? So weekly time frame pushed up and rejected. Daily time frame is reversing, and the 4-hourly time frame is also shifting the structure, which is great to see. Similar to all indices, like they're pretty much the same. It's just that NASDAQ is a little bit wild. Yeah, so we're tapping inside this again, this sell to buy, so we can draw like a little demand zone just to remind yourself, right? So if we have any response, then I would expect the market to pull back towards a zone like this, let's say, and then to potentially continue carrying on to the downside. As soon as we break below this low, I'm gonna keep buying, right? Because for investing, you actually buy at lower lows and sell at higher highs, right? So yeah, you pretty much again want to buy low and then you want to sell high. Right, but unlike with Forex, we don't want to sell, right? If the market makes a lower low, we don't want to sell and we don't want to buy because we don't know, wait for a pullback and then keep following the flow, right? But with investing, it's a bit different, right? So that's S&P, looking for shorts. And yeah, Bitcoin, I'm not focusing too much on it right now. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for more development. I had a little bit of holdings as well. Yeah, I did a couple of investments right there, and there was a nice run. I think it was this run or was it that run right there. I took it, but I'm currently flipping everything into stocks. Yeah, I'm still interested. I'm currently in the Celsius thing. They're trying to solve it out, so hopefully I can get my money back so I can invest in the stock market. But yes, if you are into crypto, into DeFi, and interested in those things, also interested in wealth creation and passive income, check out the link in the description. We have an amazing webinar incoming on the 25th of October. Right, so check it out. But yeah, overall, I'm not dropping analysis right now on crypto because I just feel that it's continuing to range. We have like a bullish shift and a bearish shift, so it's really not worth it right now. If you're intraday trading it, like even intraday, like look at this, you don't want to trade this. Okay, so don't step away from crypto and actually focus on indices and Forex. Okay. So this is how I'm gonna wrap it up. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you feel more prepared right now for the upcoming week. NFP is just over, so I think the action is just about to start. So make sure to focus and make sure to have your quarterly goals set, because New Year is gonna be here in a blink of an eye. So let's make sure to finish the year strong, right? Have an amazing week, guys. Have an amazing day, an amazing weekend, and talk to you on Tuesday.